Hi, Candy. Thanks for meeting with me today. It's a pleasure having you with me and finally getting to connect. It was a crazy weekend. We had so much going on, and we were here and we were there, but we didn't really have a chance to connect. So now is our time for our one-on-one interview. So, Candy Flores, thanks for meeting with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And yes, it was definitely a busy weekend.
It was super busy. I mean, we were just all over the place and just met so much great people. And it's exciting to see all the support we have in Michigan.
Yes, definitely. It's definitely, I came back home and said, Michigan is somewhere I want to go visit again.
We're glad to have you here. Welcome. You're welcome back to Michigan, to Detroit, anytime you're ready. Tell us where you're from.
I am actually from Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas, born and raised in this area.
Nice. So, and I see you have your awesome banner behind you talking about your book. So, Courage for Cannabis. Is that the title?
Courage in Cannabis.
Courage in Cannabis. Can you tell me your involvement with Courage in Cannabis, the book?
So my involvement in book one, I was a featured author. I shared my story on how I got involved with cannabis and how cannabis saved my life back in 2017.
Wow.
And took a big leap doing that and opening up to the whole world. But I feel if I wouldn't have, I'm in a great space. No regrets, and I love it. And actually with book two, I was so busy with the authors and the involvement. And so what I did was I didn't know which part of my story I was going to share, because there's a lot, it's ongoing. So I thought of doing something different. So what I did is I do coaching. I'm a certified cannabis CBD coach. And I always tell people it does, with health issues, it doesn't just affect the patient. It affects the family. You go through it together. And being that my children were, in high school and in college, throughout what I went through, they dealt with it as well. So in book two, my youngest son, which is now 24, he shared his perspective of, what I went through and in his, how he saw things and how, the big difference it made in my life.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's I can't wait to read the book. I understand that it's a collection of stories and people's accounts and experiences with cannabis.
Yes,
that's amazing. So, tell me your story. What happened that brought you into the cannabis world? How were you introduced, or can you talk about how we ended up here?
Yeah, no, definitely. So how I started with cannabis, before 2017, I had smoked once when I graduated high school. Never did it again. I was raised, it was a drug, so I didn't want to get in trouble. Then, of course, I got sick, I want to say like 2008. And just my life changed. I was unable to work full time, and I just got very sick. Suddenly, nothing that didn't even have a family doctor prior to me being sick. So I started, of course, with one medication. And mind you, I was just on one medication, my whole life, because I had Hashimoto's. And so I was on thyroid medication. After that, when I became ill, I was, from one prescription, I was up to 15 to 16 prescriptions. On top of that, they tried a neurostimulator, and that didn't work. So after that, they tried, because I was on oral opiates. So when they did the neurostimulator and it didn't work, I was in so much chronic pain that I tried the morphine pump, and it worked. So I was on the morphine pump for 5 years. And after
What was the morphine for? What were you suffering from?
So I have fibromyalgia and several autoimmune disorders, and the chronic pain was just taking over my life. So while I was on morphine and oral opiates, I was able to, live comfortably, or at the time that's, what was comfortable. Of course, now that I can see things differently, I was in survival mode pretty much, just getting by, and, my life changed. But, I had to do what I had to do. And I thought that was the right thing, because I honestly, you trust your doctors. And me, myself, I was in healthcare prior to me getting sick. So, I went to my family doctor, and then from there, I just, I had my family doctor, and then from specialist to specialist, and, because it took a while to diagnose, the issues. And it just, like I said, it just, from one medication, it just, I started walking around with a medicine bag, with so many meds in there. And so when I tried the morphine pump, it worked. So then we did it permanently. And then come 2016, I had some issues with it. So they were going to go in to revise it. They ended up replacing it. So mind you, from one foreign object to another, my body rejected it. So it was traumatizing. I went through 4 surgeries back to back because they couldn't figure out what was going on internally. Well, my body rejected it. So the lacerations were just opening up, it was horrible, traumatizing, and caused a lot of PTSD. So from August through December, I went through 4 surgeries, cleaning out and just trying, their best to see, what they were going to do for me. So of course, going from offering me oral opiates, I went cold turkey, basically, off the morphine pump. So my body went through severe withdrawals. And once they couldn't do anything for me, they told my family, take her home and keep her comfortable. There was really nothing else they could do. So at that time, I honestly gave up. My body was exhausted. My body was it couldn't take it anymore. So I didn't want any oral medication. I didn't want anything. I was traumatized. And at that time, I was using my walker, my cane, when I would get out of bed, because it was really difficult for me to do that. I was able to, when I got introduced to cannabis, I was actually able to get out of bed. And the reason I tried it was because I thought, well, what do I have to lose? Like, I'm already, they've already told me there's nothing else they can do for me. So I really thought that was, the end of my life, and definitely in a dark place. Whether I would have lost my life because of everything going on, or I would have taken my life. That's how severe it was. Very dark. So I was able to, I tried it. Thank God. And I had been offered cannabis before, but I did, just declined it because I was scared, it was a drug. I didn't want to get in trouble.
Right.
But then at that time, I tried it. And actually what it was RSO. My husband started giving it to me with the toothpick, and just like, now that I think back, it's like, wow. And when I share my story, it was just very little, doses of the RSO, and he would put it on my tongue with a toothpick. Mm-hmm. So then I started seeing a difference. I started getting out of bed. I started walking. I started, spending more time with my family. The withdrawals got so much better. And just the first year using cannabis, I just, I was just so, I fell in love with the plant. I started researching, I started studying, I started doing anything and everything I could to learn more about it. And that first year, I didn't want anybody to know. I was still ashamed because, I still thought it was a drug, even though it was helping me, and now that I think back, because of course I can see things differently now, I am able to look and see that the plant was giving me a second chance. I was alive. I was not only healthier, but I was actually given a second chance to share with others and, learn more about it so I could make the difference. And that's what drove me to Courage in Cannabis, because, I want that's my passion. And I just want to help others live a better quality of life like I am.
That's beautiful. That's such a beautiful story. And if you wouldn't have told me that story, I wouldn't have known you were sick, because you look so great. You're so healthy and you're beautiful.
Thank
and
you.
you're so involved in the community. And so,
Thank you.
It sounds like this plant just really just
yes, no, most definitely
change your life in a time where you were so desperate, and you were just on your last leg, and the angels must have delivered this plant to you. So tell me, were you in Texas when this experiment happened? And so
yes, I was.
So, and at the time, was it still illegal?
Yes, absolutely. It was. And that's why the first year, like I said, I didn't want anybody to know. I kind of was in my own bubble and just learning more on it. I saw the difference it made, but still with the stigma. And, I didn't even want my family to know. It was just probably just like the immediate family. Yeah. And, and I would travel, and I would, the craziest thing is, like, I don't use a lot of THC now, because I've studied it so much. And now I realize that first year, it was like I would go into a dispensary and I'd be like, I wanted the highest THC levels, because I knew I was still learning. Right. And now I'm able to say that, I utilize a lot of the cannabinoids, and I consume very low THC, but I microdose. So if I didn't tell someone that I was, a user, or that was, my medicine, they probably wouldn't know. But it hurts me now that I'm able to, or that the stigma is there, because it was okay for me to be on morphine 24/7. It was okay for me to, to drive and to do everythth that I shouldn't have, or people shouldn't do while on such heavy, drugs. Cause I feel like I shouldn't have worried about that first year me using cannabis, because I was doing more harm when I was using the morphine and the fentanyl and, oxycodone and Dilaudid. They had me on so many medications. I was on oral chemo. And mind you, when I started using cannabis that first year, that I turned, to natural plant medicine, I was actually down to from 16 to 18 medications down to only 2 now. I only take 2 medications a day. And so I don't, it was a big drastic change. I slowly weaned myself off, off of all that I didn't need. And I also would see the oncologist every yearly for, because I had a tumor in my thyroid that came back. So after the first year, he asked what I was doing. And he said, usually when I would come in and do the, my biopsy yearly, they came, I was draped and ready, and they came in, they said the doctor wanted to speak to me. So I said, okay. And of course I thought the worst, because, here I am ready for the biopsy, and the doctor wants to talk to me after the ultrasound. So he comes in and says that whatever I was doing, to keep doing it. He's like, because the tumor was it was the size of a small fruit. He said, okay. It's now the size.
So on top of the fibromyalgia that you had,
yes,
you were also suffering from a tumor.
So I have Hashimoto's disease, which is it's an autoimmune disease of the thyroid. Oh, so okay. I only have partial thyroid. So before that, that had already happened. They had removed the tumor years back, like the year 2000. But then it came back. So it was the size of a small fruit. So they would just check me every year. I would go to, MD Anderson in Houston, and my oncologist would, they would check it just to make sure that it wasn't growing, because nothing was suppressing it. So I was on medication and doing what I had to, medically. So after I turned to plant medicine, after that first year, it shrank,
Wow.
So the doctor, the oncologist was like, you keep doing what you're doing. He said, from a small fruit, the size of a small fruit, it's down to the size of your pinky nail. I mean, tears just rolled down my eyes. Mind you, I'm just infatuated with this plant. And then I was using it for pain management. It had nothing to do with my thyroid, the tumor. That was like the least of my worries, because I had already been through that, and I had overcome that. But knowing that it did that, that alone just tears just rolled down my eyes. I probably wanted to just hug the doctor, because that's proof. Like, that what more do you need? So that really touched my heart, and it meant a lot to me, that I wasn't using it for that, but it's like an umbrella. Like it helps so many different things.
It really does. It really does. And it's so great to hear that it's so great to talk to someone who's firsthand experienced the benefits, the healing effects of this plant. I'm curious if during your time when you were really sick and you were going through all these treatments with these different doctors, and they're trying this and they're trying that, did you ever get any results from any of that stuff?
So I was surviving. I was in survivor mode, using, the only thing was the side effects. It was like one medication took care of one thing, and then I had something else, and then I had another medication, and then I would get another side effect, or, so by the time you knew it, my medication list was over 15 medications. And, at times, for example, I can give you an example. So I developed narcolepsy, and I honestly, I couldn't even drive a 30-minute drive without falling asleep. So I didn't drive much either. That was one of the things, that happened. And then, so they put me on a medicine for that. And then, of course, when you're on opiates and, different medications, they cause gut issues. So then I was on another medication for that. So by the time you knew it, it was just like, I had like a whole pharmacy, and still on survivor mode, because I still had issues. I still wasn't better. I think that this has been the best quality of life that, not that I'm cured, but I have the best quality of life that I know my body. I've learned to listen to my body. And that's what I teach others, to be able to, communicate with your own body, because no one knows your body like yourself. Not even the doctors. You know more of your body. And if they had that time to spend with you, to get familiar with how it's responding and what, instead of coming in the 15 minutes and, okay, what do you need? In and out, we know our bodies. And I feel as a patient, I should be heard. I have a voice, and I feel like if you listen to my own personal story, we could help so many other people, just learning and educating each other. And I mean, there's enough for everyone to be able to consume in healthier ways. You don't, because some people think like, well, I used to smoke, or I used to do this, or the plant is the plant, but there's so many different cannabinoids in it that are so beneficial to so many, from children to adults.
It's really a beautiful plant, and it has so many benefits for people, for humans, for animals, even for the earth itself.
Yeah.
What else? I think that it's so wonderful that you have a vehicle to tell your story, that you're a part of this book. And I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear some other stories. I had the opportunity to meet Rick Anstis, who I believe he also contributed to the book. And
yes, he's in book 2.
And Dr. Bridget as well. I think that there needs to be more videos like this. There needs to be more people talking about this and their stories, and really breaking the stigma that has been programmed to us over many years, many years. It's really sad that, I think that in today's culture in the US, there's a lot of events and a lot of traditions that people have that are kind of based around drinking alcohol, anytime, and now you'll see it at the workplace too, with these office parties, open bar, or these happy hour events. There's so much like alcohol has been infused into our society. It's so deeply infused, and there's people that go and drink every day,
right? Or have they after work they stop and pick up a drink. I can honestly say that I don't need alcohol. I stay away from it just because I choose to. Nothing against it, or but I can have a good time just with the benefits of plant medicine, and I know that I'm getting medicinal value from it. So I can have my water with my mocktail, or it's just so different. And I want to set an example for others that have given up, with their illnesses, and as well as I want people to understand that it's not just me consuming, cannabis. And when I say cannabis, it's people need to understand that it's not just, marijuana. I'm talking about cannabis, the plant, the cannabinoids in there, the CBDV, the CBG, the CBN, stuff like that is what's making a difference. And not only do I use plant medicine, but I also, I meditate. I, use energy medicine. I do yoga. It's not just one thing. You have to change your life. If once people see a difference, they take the next step. I feel like a lot of people, like when they tell me no, I can't, or no, I don't, I could lose my job, or I could lose my child, or we need more people to come up and open up and tell their stories, because I feel like we're not going to get anywhere if people keep hiding. And I know it's hard because I was in their shoes at one time, but I think together we can make a difference. It's going to take a village, and we need them villagers to help.
We do. We really do need those villagers to help, and people need to tell their stories and share the wisdom, because the doctors aren't going to tell you that. The doctors are there to treat symptoms. They don't always cure you. Sometimes they'll just give you a drug that might help you, and then put you into this cycle of drugs where one drug treats the next one. And it just doesn't seem like a healthcare system. It seems more like a sick care system where they just, it's very sad, and we want to get away from that. I think they used to say that cannabis was a gateway drug. I remember when I used to hear that a lot. I think that it came around in the 80s or 90s during the Reagan era, the gateway drug. But perhaps plant medicines are a gateway drug into spirituality, into thinking more, into being more mindful. That's something that I experienced through cannabis, is that when I would consume it, it would, first of all, it's something that kept me out of trouble in a way, because I had other friends that were doing bad things involving alcohol and other harder, more addictive drugs. And so I never partake in any of that. The cannabis is something that I was exposed to when I was younger, but it is something that I noticed would kind of supplement my creative side. It's something.
Yes, definitely.
I'm a creative person. I've always have been ever since I was a child. I started DJing and making my own music. And I grew up in a family that suffered from alcohol addiction, drug addiction, and I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff happen because of alcohol and other drugs. And I never wanted anything to do with that. And so, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for cannabis.
And I feel so many families have been torn apart because of alcohol, alcohol abuse. And, I feel alcohol, my father was an alcoholic while I was growing up, and, may he rest in peace. But, it was more common then, and it just, I felt, it just led to other issues in the family. And I'm glad that, now I understand more about the plant, and, I am aware that how it could actually help people with alcohol addiction. And, in book one, we do have, several, we have 18 authors, so there's a little bit of everything, but we do have a story of how that helped, alcoholism. And it's just amazing, from, like I said, from children to adults. So book one was great. And then book two just got better. And so I'm thinking book three. And of course, as we travel, and, I've got a list of stories that we need to hear, or people need to hear. So I interview people, and we take note. We have a list of future authors for, because it's like chicken soup for the soul, but cannabis for the soul. We need to have these stories out there so people can hear. And whether we don't put book three out immediately, we might wait a year, but we do have plans to maybe do some ebooks, some short stories, and, get them ready, to publish for book three. Because we definitely need to get them out there.
That's great. I can't wait to read the book. I would love to hear an audiobook of some of these stories.
Yes, definitely.
That's something that I do. I've recorded some best-selling audiobooks, and, perhaps we could collaborate one day on a book.
Yes, definitely.
I want to hear more people talk about ways to communicate to their kids about cannabis.
Yes.
I have a few friends, and people have been in situations where they have teenage kids, sometimes younger, that have been exposed to cannabis, and sometimes it's confusing. How do you deal with that? What's the right way to deal with that? What's the best way to communicate to your kids about it so that they understand, and so that it's safe. I believe that understanding is really the best way to help anybody. I'd love to hear more stories about that, and also about communicating with your parents about it. I've been a consumer. I've been consuming cannabis for many years, but it's not something that I openly talk to my parents about. It's kind of like a taboo thing in our family, I guess.
Right.
And I grew up in a family where we haven't really shared feelings very much either. So that's something that now I'm trying to kind of promote within my family and, try to get my parents to talk a little more and because there's a lot of things that were, I don't know, I guess afraid to talk about, or I feel like a lot of things might have been kept from me when I was a kid. And I feel like maybe I keep some things from them now,
Yeah.
So, I'd like to, perhaps there's room for me to tell a story, of
No, definitely.
my courage in cannabis, and
yes.
Mhm.
And it definitely is courage. It takes courage, and then not only that, but to keep going, we've had authors come and share their story and, then you don't hear from them and then they come back but and throughout book 2, I was able to help, some of my fellow authors because I was able to experience it in book 1. And it definitely wasn't easy. I did have a PTSD flare up after, it published, but learning from that and being able to help others, I think it made a big difference in book 2 because I was able to walk them through it. Like, this is going to happen, but we're here for you. You have the support. Many times authors were like, wanted to back out, or, they just felt their story wasn't good enough, or they weren't good enough, or, so I was able to, bring them back up and, let them know that they are worthy. Their story, not one story is perfect. Not one story is better than the other. We are touching different people. For example, my story is, I feel like it's not very important, but it has helped others that have reached out to me that have had similar illnesses, and I've been able to help them make a difference. So I know that everyone's story is going to touch somebody or a loved one, or, so everyone's story has to be told because they're all different.
Everyone's story is important.
Absolutely.
I'm getting an echo now, a little bit. Okay, it stopped. I think everyone's story is important because everyone's story has a ripple effect on the universe.
Yeah.
You see, the light just came on in the background because my angels are listening. Oh, see, they're listening.
Oh, I saw it. I'm paying attention.
They're listening. My angels.
I'm very intuitive. Yeah, I saw it.
And they're letting me know that I'm doing the right things,
Yes.
And it's funny because a month ago, I never thought I would be on a traveling cannabis tour.
Right.
And just the universe works in mysterious, wonderful ways.
Yes, it does.
I moved to Michigan from South Florida a couple years ago. And I came here because in that time of my life, I was a little depressed. I was coming out of a bad relationship, and I felt like I hit a plateau. I wasn't moving up any further, and it was a pandemic, and just everyone was experiencing their own kind of drama. And I needed a change. I wanted a change, and I wanted to do something. I was ready to do something drastic. And so I had the opportunity to visit Detroit, Michigan. And I came out here and I was like, this is not like how they say Detroit is. It's actually a quite clean, beautiful, thriving city with lots of creativity and a rich music history. And I could live here for a lot less than it was costing me to live in Florida.
I bet.
So I came out here, and at that time, I had some friends that also came out here that wanted to get into cannabis. And so we all got together and we all started growing. And I came with, my skills that I have, just my crafting skills, if you will. I'm very handy, and I've built several businesses, and I have a lot of technical skills. I feel confident that I could come in and learn this business and do something great with it. So I came with that kind of vibe, and I came into this crazy world of cannabis where everyone's an expert, and this guy says to do this, and you better do that, and just like it was a funny situation, to say the least. My first year here was pretty rough, and I paid some dues, and I made a lot of mistakes. But I'm grateful for all of them, because I learned from them. Because I just keep trying, and I keep trying until I start seeing results. And then you start seeing results. It's like, all right, I can. It's working. It's growing. This is happening. That motivates me even more.
Yes, definitely.
I'm grateful to live in a state like Michigan, where I can grow my own cannabis. I'm allowed to have my own plants here, and it's recreational, where I don't have to go and get it from the black market. Gray area. I can go in. It's legal, and I don't have to worry about getting in trouble, because that happened to me in Florida. I did get in trouble for cannabis once. I got pulled over for running a stop sign.
Oh, no.
Running a stop sign, just like the dumbest shit. I was leaving my work, just cruising on the way home, just comfortable in my own world. And I kind of I'm in my neighborhood. I know the area real well. And I rolled through the stop sign, and I immediately got pulled over. Boop, boop. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Officer is asking me, hey, you ran a stop sign. But however, your vehicle has a smell of marijuana. And so I'm like, oh man, here we go. And I didn't smoke in the vehicle or anything like that. I don't do that. I might have had some flour on me that did smell. But I know that I did have something on my driver's record from when I got in trouble. The first time I got in trouble for cannabis, I was 21 years old.
Wow.
On my birthday, 21 years old, on my birthday, on the beach with my girlfriend at the time. There was no one else around, not a soul in sight. And I was smoking, and 2 cops rolled up with flashlights on our face. Hey, what are you doing over there? We got reports of noise on the beach.
Oh gosh.
It was like 2 rookie cops, and the one cop was like trying to, I don't know if he was training or whatnot, but we got arrested for practically like some dust that was in a bag. It was just the smallest amount of cannabis, but I was 21 years old when that happened to me, and I long bunch of years went by. I'd forgotten about that.
Oh no.
I forgot about that. But now, here I am. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm driving on my way home, just comfortable. This was right before cannabis went medical in Florida. This was months before it went in Florida.
Medical.
Yes. And so I'm driving home. I run the stop sign. The cop pulls me over for running the stop sign, but then says, hey, your car smells a little funny. Can I search it? And so, I mean, what am I supposed to say? Later on, my lawyer did say, hey, you could have said no. You could have refused the right. You can just say, hey, just continue on with the reason that you stopped me for, which was the stop sign. This, I could have said that, but I didn't do that. I didn't know. And so I allowed the officer to search my car, and they found a 1/4 ounce of cannabis in my car. And so I got arrested.
Wow.
And I am not a troublemaker. I don't have no kind of other records. I am a DJ, music producer guy. I cause no harm. People love me in the community.
You're right.
So I had to get a lawyer. I had to spend a bunch of money for a lawyer, and he did a great job. He was able to call the clerk of the court, and they got me a court date like very fast. And my lawyer was able to get the charges dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm grateful for that.
Right.
But a couple years later, after cannabis had just went medical, a buddy of mine became a manager at a local dispensary. It's a big one, a corporate one. I don't know if I want to mention their name. But if you're in Florida, you probably know who they are. Well, here I am, offered a job to be a bud tender. I'm like, cool. All right, sure. I'll be a bud tender. I'll do it. Try it out. I usually get every job I apply for. Not this one. They turned me down. They turned me down because I had this possession charge from when I was 21.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I've never been turned down for a job before. This is so embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. Here I am trying to work at a cannabis facility, and they turn me down for cannabis.
So what happened?
It didn't make any sense. I gave up on that, and I lost interest in that altogether. I lost interest in working there, and I just I started kind of looking more into the Compassionate Care Act in Florida and looking at the laws and following the politics and following the money trails, and just I saw that Florida has they have their issues with the law down there. They have their issues, But however, that did kind of set a fire in me that wanted to be more involved in cannabis, and I wanted to help more people, and I've always known that cannabis helps people. I've actually had the pleasure of meeting this great doctor in Boca Raton who does these tests on cannabis and cancer and telomere testing. And I got to chat with him, and I got to learn how great the plant is. That cannabis is one of the best antioxidants.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I mean, it's great for anti-aging. It has so many benefits. For me, it helps me with digestion.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely helps me with digestion. It helps me with muscle aches.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful that it's brought us here together, and I get to meet all these great, interesting people like yourself. One thing about the cannabis community is that it's just the greatest group of people. They're just so happy and just so ready to share the love and share the knowledge with you, and just so genuinely want to help you. It's a really good community to now be a part of. And I'm grateful for Thunderwalker for bringing me on the Smoke Currency Tour. I'm grateful to Krista Jones for introducing me to the tour. I want to give a shout out to Coco from Florida Normal for putting a good word in for me. And, I'm looking forward to chatting with you some more and hearing more stories about the book. And so where can someone get the book if they want to get it? Where can they find out about it?
So it's on Amazon and as well as Barnes & Noble. You can also go onto our website, courageandcannabis.com, and you can purchase direct from there, or you can purchase from your individual favorite author. Every author carries it independently, so you can reach out to, if you go on the website, you can actually read about, it has every author's bio from both volumes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And we also have our nonprofit foundation listed on there, and any other information that's needed could be reached there.
What's the nonprofit's name?
GHH. I'm trying to think.
Oh, we'll check it out on the site.
Yeah, it's GHH. I could tell you.
Is that something you could elaborate on, the nonprofit? How does that help our community?
So with the nonprofit, it's in Ohio. So Dr. Bridget does, different, charities and so forth with I know they've done like cleanups in the state of Ohio. They, just different.
The community outreach stuff.
Yes.
That's
and
great.
also if with the nonprofit, we're able to have more people share their stories. And GHH stands for Growth, Harmony, and Happiness. That's
beautiful. Growth, Harmony, and Happiness.
Yes, with having people donate to the nonprofit or sponsor, we're able to give others the opportunity that cannot afford to share their stories, to get their stories out there.
That's awesome. What was the name of that again? Growth, GHH?
Growth, Harmony, and Happiness.
Growth, Harmony, and Happiness. And is that something that anyone can donate to and support?
Yes. And it's on the website, on the Courage and Cannabis website. The information's on there for the foundation in order to donate and help others. And that's basically, like I said, we want everyone to be able to share their story. We don't want to leave anyone out, because of finances. So that's where we,
I love that. I love that. Everybody has an equal opportunity in cannabis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yes. So we got number one. We got number 1 bestseller, book 1, and internationally. And then also for book 2, we got number 1 bestseller. It was amazing. On book 1, when we first got number 1 bestseller, and because we were campaigning and everyone was pulled together, and it was it's a family. Just like now we have our Courage and Cannabis family. Now we have our Smoke Currency Tour family, and it just everything is working together. All the connections that we're making, we're just helping each other evolve and keep moving forward.
I love that. Tell me, Candy, what has been your biggest takeaway from this weekend in Michigan? There was a lot.
There was a lot. Yeah, definitely was a lot. Being, it was, my birthday was Sunday. So that was just like the best birthday ever, because I felt like I was doing what I love. and everyone around was just so connected. The vibes, everything. There was no type of drama, no negativity. It was just great. The energy was definitely there. Yeah. The people were just so loving. It seemed like it was meant to happen this way, that, okay, we didn't do the actual bus, but, I mentioned to Thunder, it was meant to be this way. We needed to get things going in the right direction, and visiting and interviewing, and attending the library and being able to, do a book signing there and, a panel. Just those things are meant to be shared so people understand it's not just about smoking. We're real life people. Everyone has their professions, and the biggest thing that connects us is our passion. We're all doing this for a reason, and everyone was just so connected. I loved it. And just to be able to see the compassion that a lot of these micro businesses have, that was just amazing. From step one, seeing the seed, turn, then growing it. And yeah, it's just, it's very spiritual to me. The plant is not just, I don't just consume it. I being around it and being able to feel, the love that they are growing it with, makes a difference to me. I know everyone has their own opinion, but I can actually feel the difference on, seeing it and being able to, I have visited different grows and within, the Weed Moms and Thunder Walker and the Smoke Currency Tour, I've been able to see how they grow it. They sync to the certain times, of the process, what type of music they play, whether it's in the morning and at night, and, just the love that they give to that plant. I feel like it's passed on to the consumer.
I feel it too. I feel that about the plants. I'm a believer that if you put love into something, that love passes through. Same thing with water. If you give gratitude to the water that's bringing life to your body and fueling your cells, you'll live a healthier life.
Right.
This is part of the spirituality that's been growing within me since I moved up here. I've just grown.
That's great.
I've just grown. I owe a lot of it to my girl, who's really just has set the example for me and has activated my gifts and has really empowered me with the ability to open up my mind and allow for these messages to come into me, to download and to give me the direction that I need to follow this path that I'm on right now, which is just, it's been helping people. It's been sharing knowledge. Right. It's been just touching other people's lives by just, empowering them and helping them out. I just had a great conversation earlier today with Jaden and Amy from Weedsters.
Nice.
And, we met at the Vehicle City Social this weekend.
Right.
And they had a great interview with Thunder Walker and talking about all the great work that they're doing here in Michigan. And in between those interviews, Amy reached out to me and she's like, "Hey, I know you're a music guy. Well, my son, Jaden, he's very into music right now." And so I was like, "Oh, this is totally my lane. This is it. This is why I'm here, because I'm going to run into a kid like Jaden that wants to get into music. And then now here's my chance to give back, now I'm going to help him, a kid who's like, he's he's just like the teenage voice of cannabis. Really,
Absolutely.
he's just setting a good example and just really giving his message. And he's got so much courage, you know.
Right.
And
Yes, he has come a long way.
and he's such a great communicator, you know. And
Yes.
I just met the kid now, but I love what he's doing. He's got great energy, you know, and he wants to explore creatively. So now I'm gonna help him
That's
explore
awesome.
the world of making music and bring him into my
Yes.
world, you know. Just
Yeah,
like
that was
how
definite.
yeah.
That was definitely great. A great part of the tour. Also, it was just everyone was connected spiritually. As far as like either they had some type of special gift, whether they knew it or not. Every single person in that house
Yes.
was definitely gifted.
Oh yes. And the house, it was a good just a good synergy. It was
Right.
just,
Even the house, the energy in the house was
yeah.
very peaceful, that house was once very family oriented. It just so much to the trip that not only I learned, but I was able to share with others and sit and have a conversation on it, and being able to both relate to it is just amazing. It was, I could actually say, it was the best birthday ever.
That's awesome. That's such a good feeling. That's so great. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's next for you? Like, what are you? What's next for Candy Flores, and are you gonna take part in any the rest of the tour?
Yes, so I'm co-hosting New Mexico,
Oh,
and that's in December, as well as I'm actually the Texas docent. So New Mexico is December 9th through the 13th. Mm-hmm. And then Texas is December 17th through the 22nd. So December is going to be a busy month. And I also do other cannabis events. We'll be doing this weekend. I'll be in Oklahoma with Thunder. We're doing a charity gala. It's an art auction charity gala and masquerade gala. So it's going to be nice, to be able to meet other women, because Oklahoma really does things right when they have something going on all the time. Their events are awesome, just like the Smoke Currency tour, it's the connections. They're great.
Tell me about the event that's going on. That's the
event.
Yeah.
This weekend. Yes. So it's called High in Heels. So there's two charities that they're giving back to, and it's I love to give back, and anything that I can do to help another person or to help in any way, I try to get involved and make sure to, if I can't make a difference, then we'll do it as a team, because that's what it's about, to be able to collaborate and share and do things together, because it just makes it easier, and together as a team, and the love just grows stronger, which is the same with passion. I felt like this weekend the passion was just so strong. It's just awesome. Yeah. Everyone brought a different gift to the table. Everyone, it was just awesome.
It was really good. It was just such a good collaborative effort from everybody. Shout out to Sade.
Yes.
Which she was the first person that I was communicating with through this whole thing. And, it's tough getting all these different people together in all these different states, all these different personalities and energies.
Yes.
That is a whole task in itself. So, props to Sade for just really getting us all together this weekend and putting together this great itinerary for us to really just get the most out of this.
Yes, it was definitely busy, but very, very very worth it.
It's changed my life. For me, it's kind of changed my life because now I am deep in cannabis state. I'm now just becoming a voice for cannabis, and it's great.
That's great. I'm so happy for you.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I feel like it's just something that comes natural to me, and I want to use this vehicle to help other people and to hear more great stories. I think it's very entertaining. It's very uplifting to see other people, come out of this, victorious or healed. The healing is what is so tremendous about this. Just it really is such a miraculous plant that heals in so many ways. And Candy, thank you so much for your time. You've been great. I'm so glad I got to meet you in person, and that we had this time now to really talk about, all the great things that you're doing. And I look forward to seeing more stuff from you. I'm going to follow your journey, and
thank you.
I have a feeling we're going to be seeing each other again here in the near.
Yes, definitely. And if you guys are interested in Texas or New Mexico, let us know. Of course, we have many other states, but those are right around the corner, for 2023.
Oh, awesome!
And each state will be different, being that the legalities and being, Texas is a teacup program, so we're low THC, but there's different cannabinoids that they're using, THCA, as far as flower, and not everyone feels the same way, but I feel to each their own, whether they want to use D8 or D9 or THCA or however it's making a difference.
Wow, that's different. That's very different from Detroit, from Michigan, and from Florida. They're actually they're allowing just certain parts of the certain components of the chemicals in the plant. It's not even the full spectrum. It's only they're
finding ways. Yeah.
Hey, it's progress.
Yes, exactly. Babies. It's been baby steps, but.
Could you go into the Texas law a little bit and tell me what's going on over there?
So we have a teacup program. So for example, I have a card here in Texas, but it's called a compassionate program. So, with the teacup, but it's low THC. So that, for example, the THC levels are like the 0.5%. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we can get good hemp derived products with a 0.3 that's legal without a medical card. So, there's been some controversy, but it's, right now it's what we have. So hopefully, we're able to make a difference with sharing our story and, continuing to advocate.
So it's a teacup system.
Right.
Why do they call it that?
Texas Compassionate Users Program.
Oh, okay. So it's an acronym. It's like some kind of acronym.
Yes.
I remember,
but it's different, in other states, you get a card. So you have something to present. We don't have a card. They go by our last 5 digits of our social.
That's
very strange, very different.
That's very different, but you can't fake that, I guess. I don't know. Right. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I don't know. It's now you're tying Social Security and cannabis together. I don't know how I feel about that.
Right. And not only that, but it makes it difficult because if you're in another state and if they have a reciprocal program, you have no card to show. So it makes it difficult for the patient.
So that's limiting.
Right. And we don't you guys get to go to the dispensaries, and we have 2 dispensaries that we can purchase from, but you don't go in, you order, online, or the only way that they'll deliver direct to your house is if you spend over, $200 So, it makes it difficult for patients because that's, a large amount. Like for myself, I think the nearest dispensary would be probably 3-4 hours away. So, wow. But you would just pick up, you don't go in. So there's different destinations where you can meet, like certain cities where the surrounding cities for that dispensary that they'll meet at. And, you have to show up with cash. And a lot of times it's, different designated area to pick up. So that's something that definitely would be something that they could step up so we can feel comfortable when we're picking up our medicine,
Yeah, that sounds a little, it could use some improvement,
Right. And that's what I think that this Smoke Currency tour should make a difference, because they'll be able to hear, from patients, from, we want to have those conversations with legislators and, doctors, lawyers, we should all have the voice to be able to make a difference in this legalization, federally.
Oh, sure. Well, I have faith that that we're all going to make a difference in your state over there, because there's definitely room for improvement. And I think it's going to take getting the great people of the Republic of Texas behind you and supporting this group effort. And, Texans, they're very proud of their state. Great. Everyone I meet from Texas is very proud and just great, the nicest people, the funnest people to be around. And, I think that cannabis, there's room there in that state for it to really, to really help some people and to help the state as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And Texas has always been a state of outspoken people who are not afraid to speak up and speak their mind, so let's bring some of that spirit into the legislature there and see if we can, pass some bills, today's election day. So I hope that there's some good stuff on the ballot there, over here as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to vote today, because I've been doing all this stuff with the tour.
Right.
But I definitely, I'm hoping that there's some new laws and that there's some reform, and that, we can help influence some better decisions to those lawmakers.
I agree.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for all your hard work and for this, putting all that you, put in this weekend. And thank you for having you on board.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for your time. You've been great. I learned so much about you, and I'm a big fan of what you do, Candy. And I look forward to reading the book and sharing this video with my friends and everyone from the Smoke Currency tour. I look forward to talking with you again. You be well and be safe.
You too. Thank you.
And have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.